Madison Null. Can you text if you're here? I don't know if there's more than one Madison. Ah, there. All right, sweet. I will now make you host. Sweet. All right, now I'm no longer the host. The host has disabled participant screen sharing. That's on my part.
That must have been you.
That was me. Can you make me the host again, please? So, advance, all right. All participants. Okay. Now I'm going to make you host again. Let's see if this works. Ah. Sweet. Everyone see this? Awesome. Awesome. Sweet. So give it until 6:05, and then I'll get everything started. And yeah.
Using up 10 of our 40 minutes, waiting that long.
It's all right. We can restart the 40-minute timer very easily, actually, as it turns out. Sorry on that. But I'll give about 5 more minutes for people to come in, and then we'll get this started. For everyone sitting here listening to the silence, I'm giving until 6:05 for everyone to come in here. People might be coming late, and then I'll start the whole slideshow. And then, first of all, thank you all for coming. This is a lot more people than I expected. It's also my first time ever using Zoom, like, period. I'm hosting, so it's fun too. Yeah, so about 3 to 4 more minutes, and then I'll get everything started. All right, starting in just a second. So before I forget, because it might happen, but since this isn't a paid for account, since this is not supposed to be a super long meeting, there is the chance that we will reach our 40-minute time and then the whole meeting will just turn off. In that case, just join back, because then I could just start it and apparently I get like another 40 minutes. And it's like, that's crazy. So if that happens, like if I just cut off halfway through talking, just just join back and then finish it. Shouldn't be super long. And Maddie, I guess you have the timer, so you just chime in whenever there's like a 5-minute like warning. But yeah. So it is 6:05, and so I'd like to welcome everyone to our first meeting of the semester. And so as you can see here, everyone can see my shared screen, right? The slideshow. All right, sweet. That would be like the worst if you guys can't see that. So we are the CSU student chapter of the Wildlife Society, and that's our logo right there. And so what is the Wildlife Society? And so our mission is to inspire, empower, enable wildlife professionals to sustain wildlife populations and habitats through science-based management and conservation. And it was an organization founded in 1937, and it's made out of over 11,000 members. And these are people from all walks of life, whether they're students like us, professors like the people who teach us, whether they're biologists, park rangers, managers, politicians, people who have absolutely nothing to do with wildlife but who are just interested. And it's a way for people to get connected, involved, and to network. And through the Wildlife Society, tons of people have gotten jobs, shared their research, made a name for themselves and started their careers, made connections and made long-time partners when it came to research and working with various agencies around the world. I've met people from India, from Brazil, from the Democratic Republic of Congo through the Wildlife Society, and it's a fantastic way to get to know people. And our goal as a student chapter is to connect all of you to that big network that is the Wildlife Society. And along with that, we're hoping to teach you guys some stuff to help you build some skills through whatever volunteering opportunities we can throw your way, or hopefully this semester, if things go super well, whatever we host. And we're hoping that whether you want to devote your entire life to wildlife or whether you're just interested, you get something out of it professionally or just personally. And we're hoping to just make your time worthwhile here. And through the Wildlife Society, we have people from the U.S. Forest Service, Fish and Wildlife, Department of the Interior, CPW, and you will meet these people. They will come into our meetings and they will talk, and they will, hopefully in time, they will host work days. We've gone to what's it called? Arapahoe Wildlife Refuge, and we've helped U.S. Fish and Wildlife take down old barbed wire fencing and upgrade new ones so it's easier for elk and pronghorn to go above and over it. We've gone to Utah and we've helped with various state agencies there, just do fun projects and all that. And so we're hoping for you guys to meet a lot of people and to work with a lot of people and to potentially get connections from them, business cards, jobs have been offered through these meetings and through these activities. And so we're hoping to help you guys, really gain something substantial out of this. So our student chapter, we meet bi-weekly. We typically, in most of our meetings, have guest speakers come in, whether they're faculty from CSU or they're people from Colorado Parks and Wildlife, from zoos sometimes even. And they come in and they talk about their careers, what they do now, the research they've done, how they got there, whatever they think is most useful for you guys as students or most interesting. And typically we would have a few workshops throughout the year, but with the current situation, COVID, and you're going to hear this through a lot of this presentation, a lot of that is still trying to be, figured out. We're keeping our eye out to see if we could potentially have, something happen substantial. And typically we would try to have a few social nights, get together, watch a documentary, or through the Colorado Natural Heritage Program on campus. Last semester, we were going to have a night where we went out and watched bats right outside of town. And sadly, that couldn't happen, but we try to just make things happen. And we have a few projects that we as a student chapter host. And so our two main ones, or only ones, are the Boyd Lake Raptor Monitoring Project, which is by CPW, and we just kind of lead that, and the Camera Trap Project, which is from a grad student of ours named Dee, and we work with Lincoln Park, we work with the Rocky Mountain Cat Conservancy, for Collins Natural Areas a little bit, and the Poudre School District, and tons of great opportunities there. Isabel will talk to you about that. We typically do educational outreach. So in the past, we've gone to Bolts Middle School and we've given a few lessons. And typically that's with Kevin Crooks, if you guys know him. He's a great guy, but you get to go there. You also get to go to Sarapison Elementary. Sometimes I've been there and I've helped third graders with projects about like, there's a problem and problem-based learning, I think it was called, and you help review them. And it's a great way to get there. And if you have any need or want to get experience working with kids from very young ages, it's a great way to learn how to educate and all that. And it's a ton of fun. And then typically you would have trips or work days, like I've mentioned, Arapahoe Basin. We've gone to South Dakota, and we've had tons of cool opportunities. But sadly, with how this year's going, we still don't know how feasible a lot of that outdoor stuff is going to be. But we'll try to keep our eye out to make something happen. And then here are officers. So I am the president of the student chapter. I'm Remy Patton. You can see handsome face right up there. There's our vice president, Grant Pegram, right there in the bottom right. Our secretary, Maddie Knoll, top right there, holding box turtle, our treasurer, Ryan Armstrong, right there holding the, I hope that's a Swainson's or a red tail, a booty of some kind. Please tell me. Isabel holding the alligator on the right. She is our camera trap project lead. We have Lotus down here, who's our publicist and coffee table manager. And we have our advisor, Larissa Bailey, who isn't typically present in our meetings, but she's a CSU faculty advisor, and she helps us through all of these processes and setting things up. So start with introductions. So, first, we've got planned for you guys. So please take a second to look at our email, Instagram, and Facebook. And so those are our social medias. And that's one of the easiest ways to contact us directly if you have any questions, if you want advice, if you just want to hear about something, or you don't want to know what's coming up. And due to COVID-19, we have restricted a lot of our usual activities this semester. So be sure to check your emails and our social media to get the most out of what we have to offer. But instead of planning small day trips and volunteering days like we normally would, we are going to try to send you guys information on cool activities or opportunities that you can partake in that get sent our way or we catch wind of. And so we're hoping that you guys look at this and whatever catches your eye, you just go out and do it. And please let us know about whatever you're doing. We would love to hear from you guys and get photos about what you guys are doing amongst, just the whole pandemic and all that. We may not be able to do things as a large group, but we would love to know what you guys are up to as members. The one thing that we are definitely doing is our bi-weekly raptor monitoring outings, which we will talk about in a little bit. And so that's exciting. And for those of you who are familiar with it, we are sadly not going to be able to have our coffee table open this semester. The coffee table is typically our biggest fundraiser. And sadly, because of just how it is, it's a self-serving table with one of our volunteers sitting at it. Typically, it would be a great way for you to get a start in our society and for us to kind of just get to know you. As it is, we've been advised that it wouldn't be that good an idea to start up the coffee table. So we won't be, but we still have our after party, which is always a ton of fun. And that, if Maddie or Ryan would like to.
Yeah, I can talk about that a little bit. For those of you who were with us last semester, you might remember that Ryan was the raptor monitoring lead. He is now a ranger at Boyd Lake and will be working during that time, so he can no longer do that. So I'm going to be taking over. I will be new to it, but I'm very excited. So yeah, we go raptor monitoring every other Sunday at Boyd Lake State Park. We'll be starting this Sunday, and we meet at 9:45 a.m. in the forestry lot up on the north end of campus by the Oval. So this semester, again, with COVID, it will look a little bit different. We're going to have to cap it at 10 people. So we will, as usual, send out a link so that you can sign up ahead of time. And this semester, it will end up being first come, first serve. So go ahead and sign up when you see that link if you're interested. And I will be sending, I also am the secretary, as Remy said, so I'll be sending out that email shortly. And if you have questions about it, you can also email the main email, because again, I'll be receiving those. So yeah, so this semester for carpooling, we will have to cap it at 4 cars and only half capacity with masks on, windows down for getting over there. But it should still be a good time, and you don't have to come with any experience. You can come to learn together. And we go to different points around Boyd Lake and try to see some raptors. Let me know if you have anything to add, Ryan or Remy.
I can unmute myself. So a few things to add. This is that project I mentioned earlier. This is a CPW run project. So Colorado Parks and Wildlife is trying to have a raptor monitoring project in every single one of their state parks. And we have been given the privilege of leading their efforts at Boyd Lake specifically, down in Loveland. If you don't know where it is, it's a fantastic area. It's not too, you're not like going on big hikes. It's just sidewalk paths, but really nice around. And it's a fantastic way to, you know, get familiar if you don't have any skills in IDing or just in general, you know, kind of how data collection works. When I first started going to these, I knew nothing. I'm a reptile guy. I knew jack squat about raptors. I started going, this wonderful guy named TC would just point at a dot in the sky and without even using binoculars would say, it's a bald eagle. And I'd be like, cool. And then he'd explain, and we would do the same thing. I try to go to every one of these if I can. And it's a fantastic way to just slowly build up that ability to ID birds, you know, and it's fantastic because Boyd Lake is so diverse. We get a lot of migratory birds that fly through. So you get the Swainson's hawks and the northern harriers. We have red tails that are year round. We have tons of bald eagles that come in there. Ryan let me know that there are ospreys there right now. And as you can see there in the bottom right, that's an owl nest that we haven't seen as of recently, but it's an owl nest, 2 little flufflets in there. And so they're there typically, great horned owls. Fantastic opportunity. Yeah. And as Mary said, she's the new lead for that. And so it'd be super exciting. And she would be able to take you through, you know, how to collect that data and all that. And super great way to get a start. Now we have the TWS Camera Trap project, which is led by Isabel. I'll let her talk about that.
Yeah, so hello, I'm Isabel. I am the camera project lead. Usually in the past, what the camera project has looked like is we separate some of y'all who volunteer into little groups, and we assign you to a camera in the Fort Collins area, and they're all pretty close and pretty easy to get to generally. And with these cameras, we record photo data, kind of like the pictures that you see right here. A lot of these pictures are actually from the Fort Collins area, I believe. Yes, so we get to see some like really cool stuff every once in a while. But right now, the camera project is currently undergoing like a revamp. We're trying to add a couple different aspects to the project. More specifically, we're trying to connect it to a database which is connected to a bunch of other universities and zoos actually. So our data would actually become a big part of something that's so much bigger, which is really exciting. So that's in the works right now. But when we get to my slide later, I have like a little interest form for you guys to fill out if you want to be a volunteer to check one of these cameras. Like I said, right now we're undergoing like a bit of a remodel. So it's still kind of slow moving as I'm figuring out like which teachers are wanting to participate with us because they also have access to the photo data that we have and they use it in their classrooms, which is really cool. So I'm still getting back with the teachers because of course, you know, with everything going on, they've had to shift to virtual format as well. So it's a bit different for them and I'm still waiting to hear back from some of them as well. But once I get a lot of the details squared away, it is very possible that you all can go out and check cameras again. Usually the groups are really small, so practicing social distancing is probably going to be pretty easy for that. So yeah, I'm just getting some of the details ironed out right now, but once I do, I will update you all with that later. It's my hope that we can get this up and running again. I think that it would just be really valuable for the teachers to have access to this data again, just to give their students like something else to look at now that everything's in a virtual format. But yeah, if you'd be interested in that, I will have the form on my slide in a little bit. Oh yes, and similar to this is something else that I help manage is our educational outreach, which is sort of like an offshoot of the camera project. And I think Remy talked about this a little bit. Is we go to elementary and middle schools, or we have in the past, and we just give them a little lesson about wildlife. It's really cool. The students are always so excited and energetic. It's like the cutest thing ever. But hopefully we'll be able to do something like that this year, you know, again, because everything is in a virtual format. But yeah, I'm also waiting to hear back from teachers on that, but it is likely that we will also have some opportunities for you to possibly teach some students this semester. So yeah, more info on that to come.
Yeah, it's fantastic. You'll notice that all three pictures include me because I'm typically one of or the only person who shows up to do these things. And that's typically because they happen during school day hours. But so know from an expert at going to these, it's a ton of fun. I love working with kids because they're always super excited about everything you have to tell them. Uh, for example, if bottom left right there, you see me holding a camera trap. Those kids went nuts the second I explained to them. Every time they walk in front of the camera, it'll take a picture. And then I had to tell them, please don't walk in front of it because some poor soul named Kaylee Gray has to go through thousands of pictures every single month and delete a few thousand of those thousands of pictures. But it's fantastic. And if you need any education experience, there's no better place to start than kids. Because if you stutter or if you like take a pause to, you know, evaluate what you're about to say, kids don't care. The kids really don't care. Even if you have perfect, they don't care. They just want to hear all the cool facts and all that. And it's a ton of fun. So as Isabel mentioned, with how things are going, we're probably not able to go to schools directly and participate in things like that. And so hopefully we'll have some sort of online setting where we can do that, which hopefully means that more people will be able to do that. And I would love to see you guys, you know, start teaching kids and showing up at these kind of things. It'd be so exciting because they're our future. You have to take care of those kids because they're the ones that are going to be making the laws and making big changes in the future. But yeah. And then now we're at introductions. And so start with me. Name is Remy Patton, and I am the president of the chapter. I am my third year studying wildlife biology here at CSU. And if you haven't noticed already, I am a first generation American in my family. Everyone before me was Belgian. And I'm wearing all these colors because today Belgium went against Iceland in the Europe Championships, and we kicked their butts 5-1. But yeah, I'm very proud. I like skiing, and the only other sport I partook in is in marching band. And cool little fun fact, I'm not going to point them out, but someone else in this call is actually on that slide, right? Somewhere in here. I won't point out names, but happy they followed me this. But yeah, and so I'm just a dude. To be very honest, I'm just a dude. Don't be afraid of me because I've been given the title president. If I'm gonna be honest, I got this title by default because I was the only one who qualified to become president. So I'm not like super crazy or scary, please. So don't be afraid to ask me with any questions you have about CSU or the department, TWS, or anything. I would love to help you guys out. And so yeah. And unlike most people here, I don't really have much of a background in experience with wildlife, like wild wildlife. I've actually done a decent amount of working at zoos in my past. So I spent 6 of my summers as a teen volunteer at the Texas Houston Zoo. 2 of those I was a guest educator, 1 of those I was a kids camp counselor, and then 2 of those I was a reptile keeper, and then last summer I did a summer of interning as a reptile keeper. And so I've had a lot of experience just in zoos, whether it's within the education department or within actual, you know, keeping. And I've never realized how broad working at a zoo can be. It can take you absolutely anywhere. So just as an educator, you sit in your office, you type up lessons, you take care of volunteers and all that. You still get the opportunity to go and participate in these super cool trips to the Maldives, to the Galapagos, the Brazilian Pantanal, you know, wetlands. Crazy. And I've been able to learn so much from the people that work in zoos. And don't get me wrong, there are bad zoos out there. There's a lot of bad zoos out there. but there's good ones too. And so if you have any question about, if you're interested, hey, I've been thinking about entering at a zoo, what do you recommend or what should I expect? Please don't hesitate to talk to me. I'd love to help you out. It's a fantastic way to go play. As you can see, I'm a reptile person too, by the way. So any reptile questions you have. But it's a fantastic way to just get a little start. I started as just a kid who thought he knew everything about animals because he watched Animal Planet. Turns out I didn't know that much about animals. And then I broadened out, and I've built so much of skill building and confidence in talking to people through zoos. And the zoo, working at the zoo, has brought me to the Galapagos, where I got to participate in a project where they are tagging Galapagos tortoises and monitoring their annual migrations up and down these volcanic islands, because throughout the year they will actually travel to specific elevations just to make sure it's fantastic. I got to go camping. I took the greatest picture of my life, and I have only just recently been told that picture of the marine iguana I took, it was a very gloomy day, and I know the sky's purple, but I'm colorblind, and I didn't know it was purple until recently, so that's why. But it can take you to a lot of cool places. But that's my whole spiel on zoos. I'm biased. Now we have our Vice President, Grant.
Hey there, everybody. I'm Grant. As Remy said, I am your Vice President. I'm a third year here. I'm a wildlife biology major. As will become apparent, that's a common theme at the Wildlife Society, members or officers. In one way or another, we're all Warner people pretty much. I'm minoring in restoration ecology as well. So for me, it's all biology all the time. All my electives are biology, but that's just the way I like it. I've grown up being outdoors. I'm an Eagle Scout. I've gone to youth leadership training through that as well. So I've been really surrounded by wildlife and just the outdoors my entire life. I've moved all over the country. So I've gotten to see some beautiful places that not many people get to experience. And I think that plays a real big role into who I am. I don't think I would be here without those experiences. I've done plenty of volunteering with some of my own organizations, as well as a lot here with the Wildlife Society and through Colorado Parks and Wildlife. Just to name a few, my most recent volunteering was with Liberty Wildlife. I'm from Arizona. My parents live in Arizona. So when I go to visit them, I volunteer at Liberty Wildlife. They work on raptor rehabilitation, wildlife care. So somebody can call in if a few eggs fell out of a nest or a little bird was stuck on the side of the road. They can call Liberty Wildlife, drop the animal off, and we will take care of it, make sure it gets any kind of medicine, any kind of care, any medical issues it has, we can tend to those. And the end goal is to have it released back out into the wild. And the same thing goes for wild at heart raptors, pretty much. They're both really close together in their purpose of raptor rehabilitation, and just working kind of in the back rooms of some of these organizations. It's really fun. I did orphan care for some of the birds that were orphaned from nests. So you have little neonate birds, you have birds that are learning to fly, you have all kinds of species of songbirds. It's truly a humbling experience. It's really fun. So I get a huge kick out of that. That's what I do. That's my connection, my real connection to wildlife. And then through Colorado Parks Wildlife, I did a short little stint with the wildlife relocation that CPW runs at the Denver International Airport. They have tons of traps for raptors. They also have some for raccoons, just some smaller animals to keep them off the runway, because bird strikes do cause a few accidents with planes, unfortunately. So they do a pretty good job at keeping the risk of that pretty well under control. So that was super fun to do. I've done the bighorn sheep count that we do here through the Wildlife Society. I've done that the past 2 years. And again, our raptor monitoring program, I've been in and out of that all the time. It's super fun, and everybody should go to that. It's a super fun experience. It's a super fun experience. You learn a lot. So yeah, that's all about me.
How are you doing on time, Maddie?
We're doing just fine. Check
Sweet.
your phone.
Ah,
After
Turns
taking
out we have no limits on this meeting because it's our first big meeting. So there will be no need to click on a link once everything just goes dead silent. That's exciting. So, then next we have Maddie, our host for this call and secretary.
Hi, I am Maddie or Madison, either way. I am in my last year, fourth year, senior year of wildlife biology, and I have minors in zoology and French. I've done the Wildlife Society since my freshman year. Definitely plenty of opportunities. I feel like I've dipped my toe in all of them, most of them, and there's so many opportunities. Even this semester, I know it won't look like it usually does, but still be paying attention to my emails and see what we can find for you guys. And like Remy was saying, let us know what you're doing. We'd love to see. Also about me, I'm from Missouri. I grew up in Columbia, Missouri, moved out here for school. I like to do Colorado-y things. I like to be lazy, lots of stuff. I used to do raptor rehabilitation work back in Missouri at the University of Missouri while I was in high school. That was a big step into the world of wildlife for me. And then probably my biggest claim to fame was 2 summers ago. I was part of some conservation work in Illinois. I was on what was called the turtle team, where we went around and worked with various species of turtles, mostly eastern box turtles, like you see in the picture of me drawing blood, and also got to work with the endangered Blandings turtle, which felt extra cool to be part of that sort of conservation work. I've also been involved with the Hummingbird Project, which was up at the mountain campus, which unfortunately did not happen this past summer in person. For those of you who had to take it online, I apologize. For those of you who will get to take it in person in the future, highly recommend getting involved with the Hummingbird Project while you're there. It's an external thing, but they usually come up there during the mountain campus and recruit students. And then currently I volunteer at dog rescue, cat rescue, but more wildlife related. I volunteer at there's a local wolf sanctuary. If you were not aware, they have been dealing with relocating on top of the ongoing Cameron Peak fire. So, but everybody's doing just great. If you are interested, highly recommend volunteering there. Very cool opportunity, and I'm sure lots of you would be interested since we're all here to talk about wildlife. So that is me.
Yeah, anytime we do something at the Wolf Sanctuary, it gets super popular. And then it always ends up getting canceled because there's a pandemic or wildfire going on. Yeah. And then next we have Ryan Armstrong, our treasurer.
Howdy, folks. Like Remy said, I'm the treasurer. I'm a super senior. I'm graduating this semester finally, and like most of you, I'm also an fish wildlife conservation biology major. I'm a Florida man. After a couple of years after Florida, I was spent a couple of years in Texas, and I'm up here in Smoky, Colorado. Back in Florida, I was an outdoor skills instructor. I taught scouts and cadets how to go camping, first aid skills, wilderness survival, orienteering, all that kind of stuff. Up here in Colorado, I also had an amazing opportunity to work with Doug Eifler down at the Army base, Fort Carson, here in Colorado, to do some herpetology research and conservation work to help figure out how to save these lizard species that are soon to be on the threatened list. They may be already, I'm not sure, I haven't kept up with it. I'm also a certified wilderness first responder, so if you guys are trying to get some medical training, which always looks good on any kind of natural resource resume when you're applying for those kind of jobs, I highly recommend getting that wilderness first responder cert. It is kind of pricey though. And as Maddie mentioned, I'm also a seasonal park ranger for Colorado Parks and Wildlife over at Boyd Lake State Park. And if you guys are interested in a career in CPW, whether that's as a park ranger, game boarding, or DWM, or natural resource technician or a biologist or something like that, I highly recommend doing raptor monitoring or doing some sort of CPW volunteer program, getting those volunteer hours with CPW that can help you get some face-to-face time with the actual CPW personnel, and that really helped me out when I applied and became a park ranger. And because of that, I'm actually on my way to becoming a permanent park ranger. So maybe you guys will still be able to see me around.
Right. Thank you, Ryan. Very exciting. Ryan's going to be a permanent ranger, always. And then we have Lotus, who sadly couldn't be here because she is out of town because she's on her way to work. But she is our publicist, so she runs our social media. And if it were a thing, she is also our coffee table manager, which is where I started. Look where I am now. And she's currently working at doggy daycare, which is why she's not here today. But she likes to snowboard, hike, and rock climb. And she has done an extensive amount of time in the past few years, working her weekends away at the Denver Aquarium as an animal care assistant. And she has worked at various dog and cat clinics, helping them recover, whether they're sick or abandoned. And yeah, and so she's going to be who you're talking to if you're messaging our accounts on Instagram, which please feel free to privately message our Instagram account, because we would love to feature you guys, which I'll talk more about later. But yeah, so that's Lotus Lyle. And then we have Isabel.
Hello again. I have a lot of info on here, so I'm just gonna go right through it real quick. So yeah, my position is education and research management, which is a pretty big umbrella term for a lot of the things that I do, which is like teaching, camera project. In the past when we did tabling, that was another thing that I would do. And just basically like getting the word out about wildlife is something that I'm really passionate about, and that is something that I get to do with this position. So that's really cool. Unlike the other officers, actually, I am an ESS major, which is, I just have a passion for wildlife, and I feel like ESS is just something that is the direction that I want to go, and I think that's like totally cool. I was wildlife before though, so I can say that. But yeah, I have a liberal arts minor in political science, specifically in environmental affairs. So I'm definitely keeping it like within the realm of environmental stuff. I am from Chicago. I love talking about Chicago. So that's one of the main reasons I put it on there. If any of y'all are from Chicago, let's talk about it. Another thing about me is that I am an RA at Durward Hall, which gives me a really unique experience with our first year students. If you're a first year student, hello. I don't know if we would have any on here, maybe from our Instagram. But yeah, this is something else that I do feel passionate about, like community building and supporting CSU students. I know a ton of things about the way that CSU works, so if you have like a question, I can totally answer that too. I also really like restoration ecology. Some of the experience that I have with that is with the Student Conservation Association. If you've heard of them, they're all across the US. They do some really awesome work. I've mostly done things with their summer programs that they have, which is where they take high school students in the areas nearest their natural areas that they partner with, and they take their high school students out and they do a bunch of different restoration projects, mostly having to do with like trail building or taking care of trails and stuff like that. And that's not the only thing that the Student Conservation Association does. They do so many more things. I know they have summer programs too, where you can join a crew and you can go do restoration at national parks, which is really awesome. If you guys should totally look them up if that is something that is interesting to you. I am also in a sorority, but it is specifically a sorority for women in STEM, which is something else that I really like to talk about, and something I'm passionate about is women in STEM. And I think that in the wildlife field, it's a very different experience. And I think that that's something that I like to bring up. And if you guys have any questions about that, if you might want to have some more information, shameless plug, I can talk about that to you as well. But yeah, and most recently, I've been really getting into urban wildlife management, specifically the aspect of how do we make our cities more wildlife friendly and sustainable. And I've had the awesome opportunity to do some work with the Lincoln Park Zoo, which is a zoo in Chicago back home for me. And they'd have their little offshoot organization from the zoo called the Urban Wildlife Information Network. And that is the group that I was able to intern with, and I'm still interning for them right now. I do a lot of photo tagging for them just to see what the wildlife in the area is doing. It's super similar to the TWS camera project. And actually, we're trying to connect the TWS camera project with the Urban Wildlife Information Network so that we can get plugged into their system and get our data out to them. So they just do a lot of really cool stuff. The project that I do photo tagging for is actually for a COVID-19 study to see what wildlife is doing in response to people staying inside more and just to see like what the wildlife is doing. It's really interesting. It's really cool. But yes, I said I would mention this too. I'm just gonna go and share the link to this in our Zoom chat. Please let me know if it doesn't work. I tried to make it so that anyone could edit it. Here we go. All right, so if you're interested in learning more about the camera project, I have on there, you can write down your name and your email and I'll add you to the emailing list for when I get any more info to keep you all updated with that. And I think that's about everything for me.
All right, yeah. I just remembered that we have a chat. So if you haven't been paying attention, through our chat, that's where you'll see our social media and email and all that. But and then here I'm going to talk a little bit about what I've been mentioning throughout this call, this meeting, about featuring you guys. So since we aren't going to be able to do any larger projects, like going over to, if you look at that top right, that is at Arapahoe Wildlife Refuge, where we did a lot of fencing work, which is something that a lot of agencies want to see on your resume, by the way. But so you can't do any trips like that. Look down there, South Dakota. I think it's South Dakota. But regardless, we can't do a lot of those larger scale trips that we can typically do. We usually try to pump out 2 to maybe 3 of those every semester with one larger scale trip. And sadly, since we can't do that, we are going to try to see how you guys are getting involved without that happening. So if you guys are having any cool internships, any cool jobs, you decide to take a Saturday to volunteer with Fort Collins Natural Areas, if you are on a hike in Riverbend Natural Area and you see the coolest butterfly you have ever seen in your life, don't hesitate to send us a picture of that butterfly or whatever you're doing. Give us a little story. If 4 years ago you went on a vacation to Costa Rica with your family and you saw a tapir, I want to hear about it. You know, we all want to hear about it. So please don't hesitate to email us or private message or Instagram with your stories and your pictures, because we would love to feature you guys and give the rest of our members inspiration as to what they could do in order to get involved or to get inspired to, you know, go out on, on their own time and do something cool. And yeah, so like I said, please don't hesitate to share your stories with us and your pictures. We would love to throw you guys out there in the spotlight, whether it's just an Instagram post, or, mention you in an email. Hey, we heard from Johnny Two Toes that, you can go over to CPW and they're looking for positions and he's had a great time. And, we want to feature you guys out, throw stories around and make sure everyone has a good time. And so like I've said like about 60 quintillion times already, don't hesitate to email us or message us. We'd like to show you guys around. And yeah, and we sell merchandise. So we, in order to pay for a lot of our super cool trips like South Dakota or Reno, Nevada, or conference or any of that stuff, we need to make some money. And so typically we get donations, we request funds from our parent organizations, and typically our largest fundraiser for our chapter would be the coffee table. But since we aren't able to run the coffee table, we aren't going to have that opportunity. But just so you guys are aware, we do have some merchandise. And so you have t-shirts. So this is mine. And so is that backwards? Okay, it takes backwards. Well, it says Colorado State University C chapter, Wildlife Society. And then the back is cool. And we also have one that comes in white, for those hotter days. Really neat. I'm gonna unmute Ryan, or if someone can unmute Ryan for a second so he could give prices just out there, because I don't know them off the top of my head. And then we sell stickers too for $1. We sell calendars for I think $17 to $18. Although it is very odd to buy a calendar this late into the year. Let us know if you're interested in getting one. And our calendar features, I don't have one on me, but our calendar features photos from our various members, and we'll do a photo contest, and the top 12 winners got their pictures featured on our calendar. So yeah, and so we do have some cool merch that you guys can graciously donate money to us for. Enough about that. That's all I've got. Thank you so much for showing up. So many more people came to this online meeting than I was expecting, and I'm super pleasantly surprised by that. But please follow our social media accounts. Please take note of our email so you can contact us in any way. If you see any of us on campus or just around town, don't hesitate to say, hi, aren't you in the Wildlife Society? Give us a little chat. We'd love to get to meet you guys. And if nothing, the one thing I really want everyone that hangs out with the Wildlife Society to get is the ability to talk to others, whether it's making friends, networking, sharing stories, because that's really the greatest part about the Wildlife Society, is the fact that you get to meet and talk with so many fantastic people. And so, yeah, that's all I've got. Thank you so much for coming. If you have any questions, I am going to stay here for a while. You guys can type your questions into the chat, and I'll answer them as I see them. Yeah, so feel free to dip and whatever you need to do. But hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys are excited to hear what we have to throw your way. And yeah. We're coming. Oh, and then everyone leaves.
If you have questions, you're also welcome to unmute yourself.
Hey, Remy. This is Rylan. I don't know if we went to the South Dakota Badlands like a year ago, but yeah. So actually, I'm running the CSU Backcountry Hunters and Anglers now. I'm CSU BHA for past year or so. And so I am under the assumption that we can have like off-campus volunteer options as long as there are 10 people or less and you're following COVID restrictions and whatnot. So I talked to Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, and they were saying that they would be willing to do a volunteer fencing operation, building a wildlife-friendly fence on September 19th. October 17th. So basically that's just going to be 2 events where each event would be 10 people or less, and you guys could potentially fill some spots. It's hard for us to get participants with this, with everyone being virtual and stuff like that. So
is FOB your contact for RMEF?
No, it's
not anymore. Because I was
Cade, I believe, is the new
All right.
The new president.
So,
Yeah. I just joined their virtual meeting. Theirs was actually 30 minutes before this.
yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
I would have joined in there, but we have an officer meeting beforehand. Okay, that's super interesting.
Yeah. So my meeting for BHA is actually tomorrow. So I don't know if any TWS officer can join that at 6 p.m. Just so you guys know what we're running and potential spots for you guys for your volunteers to fill as well. So
Yeah, I'd like that. Can I get the info for that?
yeah.
Quickly?
Here, I'll put in the chat right now.
Yeah.
I'll put the email just to make sure. And anybody in here is welcome to.
Yeah, because I asked Fob to forward me whatever contact information. I guess you did.
Yeah. Mhm.
That's all right.
Okay, so here's this email. And then tomorrow I'll be sending that link and access code and everything like that. And it'll be 6 p.m. same time, but Wednesday. So yeah, so it'll be interesting, and then it will kind of help. All the clubs kind of need to reunite together because it is a struggle to try to run everything with everybody having to type everything out to each other.
Yeah,
So.
I was super excited for our volunteer day that was going to happen last semester.
I know we had so much planned last semester, and it all just been poofed.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, thank you for the email, though. I will definitely save that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Any questions? Yeah. So, hello, Matt. Like to take wildlife photos when you camp out to outdoor activities. Well, if ever, and this kind of ties back to what I said before. If you hear about any cool activities going around town that we haven't mentioned in our email or Instagram or anything, like if you hear about this really cool new trail opening somewhere around town, please don't hesitate to shoot that our way so we can then disperse it to everyone else. If for example, come October is when the big elk rut happens in Colorado, and normally we would get everyone together and drive up to Estes Park and Rocky Mountain National Park and see all the elk together. But following guidelines, I've decided that it would be probably best to just let people know when the best weekend for that is, and everyone goes on their own time. With stuff like that, if you just know of any cool, hiking spots or new trails or opportunities to volunteer that we might not know about, like please send it our way so we can then distribute that information to everyone else. And that goes for absolutely everyone here. Please share us with whatever cool opportunities you guys hear about. Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm not afraid to put my email in here, So if you guys want to talk to me directly, like I said, please don't hesitate to talk to me. I like to think I'm a pretty cool dude. That's my email. If you have any question.
If you have questions for anybody else, some of our officers I think aren't here anymore, but you can always just email the main email. If you want to talk to me, you can email the main email because I'm answering, and also I can forward your information on to whomever and they can respond with their personal email.
Hi, Matt. Hi, Tucker. All right. 5 people. Right. And then, any other questions? Guys, feel free. You can unmute if you guys, feel more comfortable with that at all. By the way, Serena, thank you for showing up to the Zoom meeting 15 minutes before it started.
You're welcome. I was like the first one here, I think, and I was like, oh. I was like, now I'm uncomfortable. And then someone else came on there, and then I from the corner undid my video because I was like, oh, I'm here way too early.
Sorry, but I was so happy to see that you've been so excited to continue participating with us.
I know. I'm so sad we can't do meetings. But I was wondering, because I know Ryan said that he was graduating this semester. So since he is an officer, I was wondering how you guys are going to go about doing an election for that position.
Yeah, so typically what we do is come around November. So our elections have to be done before December 5th, but we typically hold them the second meeting of November, if I remember correctly. Definitely November though. And how we do it is anyone can, go into our election and vote for our election. And the only thing we ask of our officers is after they're elected that they are due paying members. So they pay their $20 for the year. That's something I know we do. That's something I should have mentioned at the meeting, that we have dues, but that'll come in time.
Next one.
I always forget something. Yeah.
Serena, you already paid for the
This
Utah,
year.
so you'd totally be eligible.
Yeah,
You should
be eligible. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll definitely mention it as soon as around that time of year when elections come up. I'll probably mention it sometime towards the end of October, whether it's in an email, and I'll try to really make an entire splurge about it in a meeting. But yeah, elections are coming up, and they're free to volunteer for that.
Okay. That's it, guys. I'll probably text you, bother you. I'll be around if you guys need me.
All right. I'll see you then, Serena.
Bye.
Right. So
Success.
then there were 7. All right.
Any
Any questions,
Still
guys?
here.
Then Talia and Lily. Did I turn off my video? No. Oh, I clicked the button and my video disappeared. All right. Sweet. Well, if there are no more questions, I'll give about another minute. But again, thank you guys for coming. I guess I'll call the end of our meeting here. And again, thanks. The 2 remaining members here, thank you very much for sticking around, and I hope you guys stay around. As for my fellow officers, thank you guys for spending 2 hours today at our meetings and babysitting me while I try to figure out how Zoom works for the first time in my life. And
It went great.
yeah. All right. Well, this meeting is now over. I think the word is adjourned, and I will host another meeting 2 weeks from today, and we'll have an email sent later tonight. So, goodbye, everyone.